让旧族独自栽培出来的，跟那些宗派没有区别。
杀！
杀猪刀必飞，
灭阴印，敌人的门，乌海无，反我灭族印。
这是天王宫一刀头斩落皇帝的头颅。谁敢偷我的东西？
一是变教为国，圣教要立国，则需远离也。在60堂，只怕会破坏根基。不是想造反吗？总是被别人堵门不是办法。你若是杀了他。
When Kinmu saw Blind Grandpa and Butcher Grandpa, he felt overjoyed. He immediately ran toward them and embraced both. Yet, the warm atmosphere quickly shifted when the Blind One began to grumble. He accused Butcher Kang of giving the wrong directions, causing them to end up lost and returning once again to the disabled elders' village. After that, the three of them greeted the village elders. The old folks there were amazed to see two crippled figures, the blind one and the butcher, who, despite their incomplete bodies, looked remarkably strong. Ling Yuxiu stepped out of her room and was instantly stunned upon recognizing the two men. Memories of their tense encounter at the surging river resurfaced, and she hurried back inside with a worried face. Not long after, Kinmu pulled a fragment of golden flesh from his sack. He asked Butcher if it was a missing part of his body. After examining it carefully, Butcher Kang shook his head. He was certain that it belonged to Grand Saman, for he still recognized the flow of golden blood from the very wound left by his own blade. When Kinmu touched that blood, he discovered a hidden fire within it. The blood even tried to invade his body, but he burned it away using the vital energy of the vermilion bird. From this, Kinmu concluded that the lower half of Butcher's body had most likely been attached to Grand Saman's torso. This sparked a bizarre joke. If that were true, who was the real father of Grand Saman's children? Butcher Kang cracked a jest, imagining himself as their father, laughing heartily. But the blind one quickly struck back with a serious question. Was he ready to acknowledge those children if they truly had been born from his body? Butcher's face instantly darkened, his laughter vanishing. Kinmu then explained the reason he had come to the village. The blind one was shocked to learn that they had actually intercepted Roland's golden palace. Meanwhile, he and Butcher were also searching for Butcher's missing body. According to Kinmu, if Grand Saman's body could be separated, then Butcher's might be restored. Yet the blind one mocked Butcher, saying he had never had a bird in the first place, which made Butcher flare up. Their usual bickering began once more, leaving Kinmu exasperated. At last, they agreed to set out for Basen. Hullinger and Ling Yuxiu also prepared themselves. Before leaving, Ling Yuxiu left behind some gold for the village elders as a token of gratitude. The loyal green bull was still grazing, but when found, the beast wept as it remembered its former master who had once planted a vegetable field just for it. Kinmu comforted the green bull and said they had to hurry to save Basen. Reluctantly, the bull allowed them to climb onto its back, then dashed off toward Roland's golden palace. On the way, Ling Yuxiu glanced back. The small village slowly disappeared from view. Along their journey, they discussed the great war brewing beyond the empire's walls, the looming threat of the barbarians' resurgence, and the Golden Palace's possible role in unifying the grasslands. In conclusion, if Roland truly sided with the barbarians, the Eternal Peace Empire would face grave peril. Suddenly, the blind one ordered the bull to stop. He claimed he saw a battle raging to the southwest. Everyone was baffled. How could a blind man possibly see? Kinmu explained that the old man actually possessed the sharpest vision of them all. Though his eyes were empty, what he saw reached far beyond what ordinary people could perceive. Moments later, they themselves witnessed a blade's light splitting the mountain in the distance. Ling Yuxiu silently wondered, is he truly blind? As they approached the mountain, they were stunned to see a golden circle filled with the divine arts of the Witch Kings. At the 8 directions stood terrifying figures. one with a bird's head, another like a leopard, a human with 3 wolf heads, and even creatures with 8 arms or eyes embedded in their palms. Kinmu could hardly believe such power existed. At the mountain's center, Basan fought desperately against the king's combined assault. The mountain was nearly shaved away, leaving only a sliver of ground beneath his feet. Butcher Kang smiled in relief to see that Basan was still alive. All of a sudden, Butcher leapt into the sky. His blade's light cleaved through the heavens, and in an instant, the head of a winged witch king fell to the earth. That mighty being from the divine bridge realm was slain in a single stroke. Everyone was left dumbfounded. Butcher then casually returned to the bull's back as if nothing had happened, saying that Basan could hold his ground. He told them to head straight for Roland's golden palace. Basan, seeing his master simply leave, was filled with disappointment, even cursing aloud. Meanwhile, the remaining witch kings hesitated, fearful of Butcher, yet unwilling to let Basan escape. Their journey continued until they reached the Weakwater Lake. There, Butcher displayed his overwhelming might. He inhaled the clouds across the sky, then, with a single strike, drained the vast lake dry in an instant. The barrier veil collapsed into nothingness. All who witnessed it stood in shock. To Butcher Kang, his body itself was a living divine art. That devastating technique shook everyone's hearts. In front of the sacred hall, Grand Saman stood tall. Golden light flickered in his eyes. As the 3 figures approached, his face grew tense. He was the leader of the Golden Palace sect, a man who once committed a vile act, seizing the lower half of Butcher Kang's body and fusing it with his own. Out of envy, he had cut away part of his own flesh and grafted Butcher's body onto himself to gain greater strength. Now his nightmare had come true. The true owner of that body had returned to reclaim it. The sacred hall was surrounded by 18 temples. 17 of them held golden skeletons, while the last contained a gaunt elder who looked like a living corpse. Grand Saman knelt before him, reporting the situation. The elder asked about the whereabouts of the reincarnated holy child he sought. Grand Saman replied that he had not yet found him. Hearing this, the elder was enraged. He declared that all his 17 lifetimes of reincarnation would be wasted if the holy child was not found. He emphasized that he would not fully aid Grand Saman, but neither would he let him die so easily. His command was clear: return Butcher Kang's body, then immediately find the reincarnated holy child. Before Grand Saman could even think, a sharp light slashed across his waist. He froze for a moment, then summoned his junior brother, Gyatso. As soon as Gyatso entered, Grand Saman, without hesitation, thrust his staff into his brother's head, severed his lower body, and grafted it onto himself. With a blank expression, he asked the elder's permission to depart. The great elder merely closed his eyes coldly, warning him that failure to find the holy child would bring dire consequences. Grand Saman bowed respectfully and left, carrying Butcher Kang's lower body. Yet a sharp pain quickly struck his waist. The grafted body had not fused completely. It required a special elixir to fully adhere. He had once believed his life would be perfect after obtaining Butcher Kang's body. Never did he expect that Kang would still be alive and return to reclaim it. Now weakened, he dared not resist and was forced to return what he had stolen. Gyatso's body was far more fragile, and to regain the strength he once possessed would take an exceedingly long time. Racked with pain, Grand Saman descended the mountain. On the slope, he encountered Butcher Kang, Kinmu, and the Blind One making their way up. With solemn respect, he handed over Kang's lower body. Butcher Kang glanced at it, then sneered, remarking as if in thanks that his body had been kept safe for 2 centuries. Grand Saman only replied with trembling eyes. Kinmu then offered to return Grand Saman's original lower body, which he had preserved. Yet with a hoarse voice, Grand Saman refused. Kinmu tried to persuade him, saying that body could still be treated as a treasure, even offering to help reattach it. But Grand Saman accused him of harboring ill intent and quickly left without looking back. Kinmu sighed, regretful over the rejection. He had hoped to practice grafting a body before attempting it with Butcher Kang. Even so, Butcher smiled calmly. He trusted Kinmu's ability, though if Kang the healer were to do it, the result would surely be flawless. Unfortunately, returning to the Great Ruins would take far too much time. Before leaving the place, Butcher Kang shouted toward Roland's Golden Palace, asking whether the man inside was still alive. A sharp voice answered he would not die so long as Butcher Kang still lived. Butcher only laughed coldly, then told everyone to move on. Kinmu carried Butcher Kang's lower body on his back, and the 3 of them descended the mountain. The blind one glanced at the peak, sensing the immense power dwelling there. Butcher admitted that without his lower body, he was no match for that man. He explained the old figure had reincarnated 17 times, lived for nearly 10,000 years, and had clashed with him many times in the past. Kinmu found it almost unbelievable, but Butcher insisted many terrifying ancient beings had indeed lived for thousands of years, especially within the Great Ruins. He said that Old One was neither god nor demon, but close to both. His knowledge of the past was unfathomable. If he were not an enemy, Butcher said, I would never fight him. The blind one nodded. He said such beings truly existed. As an example, he pointed to his own eyes, then fell silent. Kinmu was shaken, realizing there was a great secret hidden about who had actually gouged out the blind one's eyes. After rejoining Ling Yuxiu, they headed toward a city on the grasslands. In that grassland city, Kinmu bought various medicinal ingredients, then pulled a large cauldron from his cloth sack. He explained that Butcher's body had to be boiled first to purge the poison and remnants of Grand Saman's blood. Water boiled with herbs inside the cauldron. Carefully, Kinmu placed Butcher Kang's lower body into it. Hullinger worried the body would cook like meat, but the blind one casually remarked, only when it smells like meat can you call it cooked. Butcher grew furious, insisting his body could never be ruined by mere boiling. He had even survived the assault of a god. After some time, Kinmu added a dried black and red toad. The moment it touched the water, the toad came back to life, swimming and absorbing the poison. Many died instantly, a sign of how potent the toxin was. The process was repeated many times, replacing the water, until Butcher's blood was finally pure again, flowing naturally. Night deepened. Kinmu continued working even as the others slept. He added fresh herbs to stimulate the life of the weakened flesh. Then, with solemn focus, he asked Butcher Kang to cut away the membrane on his upper body himself. He handed him a sword, but Butcher refused, choosing instead his own butcher's knife. With determination, he sliced away the excess flesh, then sealed the wounds with his vital energy. Kinmu then lifted the lower body and aligned it with the upper half. He applied dragon saliva to stimulate tissue growth, then stitched together tendons, nerves, and blood vessels with special thread. One by one they fused, until at last the skin closed seamlessly. Afterward, Butcher Kang was placed back into the cauldron, along with the final mixture of herbs. Leaning inside the cauldron, Butcher Kang spoke softly. "Thank you for your hard work, Kinmu." Kinmu smiled, replying that all those techniques he had learned from Kang the healer, so it was not too difficult for him. Butcher chuckled lightly, hoping Kinmu would not inherit Kang the Healer's infamous reputation. The conversation then shifted to Kinmu's cloth sack. Butcher looked both surprised and amused when he learned that Kinmu had taken many items from Roland's Golden Palace treasury. With a shy laugh, Kinmu admitted it. Butcher warned him not to get addicted to stealing like Kang the Thief, reminding him that every elder in their village carried a disgrace of his own. Kang the Thief loved to steal. Kang the Healer enjoyed poisoning and flirting with women, while Granny Sai delighted in causing mischief. He also mentioned that the village chief was shrouded in mystery. Butcher urged Kinmu not to follow in their footsteps. Kinmu firmly declared that ever since leaving the village, he had never caused trouble, and the chief was even proud of him. Butcher simply laughed, saying that causing trouble was fine, so long as one had the ability to resolve it. He then explained the origin of the sack. It was called a Tauti sack, made from the hide of a sacred beast named Tauti, a glutton with an immense stomach. The version Kinmu possessed was not of pure blood, but still from a high lineage. Even the bones of the Tauti could be ground and mixed with cement to build houses that appeared small from the outside but were vast within. After a long talk, Kinmu eventually fell asleep. When he awoke, the cauldron's fire had gone out. He moved to relight it, but Butcher stopped him. Dressed neatly in fresh robes, his body fully restored, Butcher told him there was no need to boil further. He expressed his pride. Kinmu was no longer merely a recipient of aid, but now someone capable of giving great help himself. From outside, the Blind One reminded Butcher not to talk too much, for his disciple had arrived. Before leaving, Butcher warned Kinmu to safeguard the god's handbone stored in the Tauti sack. It was dangerous, for its original owner was still alive. Kinmu was stunned to hear this. Butcher added that the divine flesh of that hand had long been stripped away and refined into spirit pills, leaving only the bone. The three of them then walked away. From afar, the Blind One told Kinmu to return to the village when the time came. Without turning his head, he waved his hand, proof that, even blind, he could still see clearly from a distance. Kinmu could only marvel. But that calm was soon shattered. The Chancellor Basan's voice echoed across the skies, shouting Kinmu's name again and again. Kinmu turned his head and shouted back, though Basan's voice continued to rumble without pause. Kinmu realized that Basan's call actually came from hundreds of miles away. Awakened by the sound, Ling Yuxiu immediately offered her help. She fired her divine flame art into the sky as a signal, hoping Basan would see it. Kinmu admired her cleverness, though he knew the distance was far too great for the signal to be caught. Not long after, Hullinger and the Green Bull woke up as well. The bull asked anxiously where Kang Butcher and the Blind One had gone. Kinmu explained that they had already left. Meanwhile, Chancellor Basan's voice kept echoing endlessly, making Kinmu wonder how extraordinary his ability to speak without pause truly was. They set off toward the border, confident Basan would catch up. Kinmu rode the bull together with Hullinger and Ling Yuxiu. Along the way, he asked Ling Yuxiu, "Has your wound healed?" The girl nodded, even showing her waist, now smooth without a trace. Kinmu couldn't help but notice her pale skin, so different from his own darker complexion tanned by the sun. He then touched the spot where the wound had been, still slightly raised. Ling Yuxiu giggled, but Kinmu told her to stay still so he could dissolve the clotted blood beneath the skin with his vital energy. The ticklish sensation turned into pain until the clotted blood was forced out, which Kinmu cleaned with a handkerchief. When he was done, Ling Yuxiu asked innocently, "What about the wound on my back? Will it leave a scar too?" Before Kinmu could answer, Hullinger quickly cut in. "Don't worry, I already drew out the clotted blood from your back and treated it. There won't be any scar." Ling Yuxiu gave Hullinger a sweet, but obviously fake, smile. The two of them then began trading barbs, even going so far as to call each other bitch. Inwardly, Hulinger wondered how old Ling Yuxiu actually was. After doing the math, she realized the girl was a year older than Kinmu. Hearing that, Ling Yuxiu was instantly struck, as if stabbed straight through the heart by that sly little fox. She knew Hulinger had her own hidden agenda, always sneaking into Kinmu's bed, pretending to be innocent, and now even attacking openly. Though she looked cheerful and blunt, Ling Yuxiu was actually calculating. She tried to counterattack by mocking Hulinger's furry legs, but every strike was effortlessly deflected with the same response.
The young master likes me just the way I am.
Ling Yuxiu was left speechless. The little fox seemed to possess some divine art of reflection, turning every jab right back at her. She even wondered where the fox had learned such a thing. The answer turned out to be simple. Hulinger was copying the women from the rain listening pavilion. Ling Yuxiu's feelings were a storm: embarrassment, irritation, and even a hint of jealousy. She had everything: looks, status, strength, yet somehow that little fox had shaken her confidence. Before their petty rivalry could continue, Chancellor Bossen finally caught up for real. When he learned Kang Butcher had already gone, he burst into loud sobs. Kinmu tried to comfort him, saying, "In truth, Kang Butcher cared about you deeply. He just couldn't stand listening to your endless chatter." Basan then poured his heart out, recounting memories from childhood, punishments for wetting the bed, even tales of stealing duck soup with Kang Butcher. Kinmu could only glance at Ling Yuxiu, hoping someone would help him face the flood of stories. But the girl just shrugged, resigned.
敌人的门，火海无边，灭阴夜，燃火灭毒印。不是想造反吗？
好的不学，学人家堵门。
或许他们已经出手了。
你若是杀了他，我就杀了你。打不过就下毒。
我太学院是当今第一学府，如今却要灭门了吗？
徒弟，总是被别人堵门不是办法，有不去。